Well, welcome to Focus Today. I'm your host, Perry Atkinson, and I think today we got a fascinating interview and guest with us today. If you remember, a couple of days ago, we interviewed Pastor Jim Henderson. Well, he co-authored a book with a gentleman by the name of Matt Casper. And the book was Casper Goes to Church and Saving Casper. In fact, there's a picture of the book there on the screen. And what's interesting is obviously Jim is a evangelical Christian pastor and Matt is an atheist. Well, today we get to talk to Matt, and I look forward to this. So how you doing, my friend? Where are you?
I'm in San Diego, Perry. I'm delighted to be here.
Great. Well, you got the memo. We both have a red shirt on. Well, how did you and Jim hook up? How did this ever come about?
Jim and I met through a mutual friend who is also a Christian, and Jim was looking for an atheist to write a book with. And so found me through Jason, and that was basically it. So Jim had an offer to write a book because he bought a guy's soul on eBay. I don't know if you know about that story. And they got an offer to write a book, but this other atheist didn't want to do it. So Jim was casting about for other atheists and found me.
How did you like the experience? Was it a fun thing to do?
It was an amazingly fun thing to do. Jim's a wonderful guy. We're very good friends. We hang out regularly, outside of the book. Some people think it's like a shtick or an act or something like that, but Jim and I are friends, and so going around the country with Jim, going to some of the largest churches in the country, we went to Willow Creek, we went to Lakewood, we went to the Potter's House,
Wow.
We went all over. Yeah, went Saddleback and Mars Hill, and so for me, it was at first an eye-opening experience. I'd never been to a mega church before. I grew up, kind of raised in a smaller church environment, I went to a congregational church and a Presbyterian church growing up. And to go to these mega churches was just, made my jaw hit the floor. And the main thing that I didn't understand was I kept thinking to myself, these folks, they worship basically a street preacher, a homeless street preacher, and the ostentatiousness of these churches was stunning, to say the least. I remember asking people on the way there, at some of these churches, if they believed that they were going to meet Jesus when they went to heaven, and they said absolutely. And I said, well, he said, whatever you do to the least of my brethren, you do to me. And on the way here, I passed 3 or 4 homeless people. So what are you going to do? So for me, that was. It was a chance to kind of engage people, not in my terms, because who cares about my terms? I was more interested in how they kind of live out their faith. So that was the gist of the experience for me, and that's the gist of the first book, Jim and Casper Go to Church.
What an experience to go to a mega church, huh? You listed some pretty big ones there.
Yeah, we went smaller too. I went to a house church here in San Diego. We went to a church that met in like a rec center basement in Portland. It wasn't just the mega churches, but the mega churches are the ones that get people's attention. They capture the media and all that. So that was, people said, why'd you only visit mega churches? Like, well, we wanted people to read the book. And if it was Jim and Casper went to 3 churches no one ever heard of, no one would have been interested in the book. So.
Well, Matt, this whole thing is so fascinating because you mentioned earlier there that you did attend church when you were younger, and you're an atheist. So how did that happen? What moved you from that foundation to an atheist?
A lot of people think, I think, based on many Christians I've talked to, they think that for atheists, there's like a moment, the hammer fell, something happened, they were burned, something happened like that. For me, it was just kind of gradual. It actually happened while I was going to college, and the college I went to was a Catholic college. And it kind of like, I just started kind of witnessing how people were living their faith and not understanding it, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me. And the more I kind of started just kind of exploring, supernatural, stuff, the farther I moved away from it. It's not that I'm a pure, I apply science to everything. I'm not quite like that. What I like to say is that atheists have pretty good stories for the what, the when, the where, and the how, but really no good story for why. And I think that faith gives people that why. So for me, I just feel fortunate. I do feel I'm kind of born out of some kind of cosmic chaos, and I'm happy to be here nonetheless.
Interesting. What sustains you in your atheism?
Nothing really sustains me in my atheism. You know, there's things that sustain me as a person.
Yeah.
And so being someone without faith in supernatural gods or an afterlife. I'm a parent. I have 2 kids. I have an 11-year-old daughter and a 7-year-old son, and that is something that keeps a body going. And just the fact that I know that the people I interact with, I can make a difference with them. I can basically. I gave $5 to a homeless woman the other day, just coming off the highway, and it was nothing for me. You know what I mean? Like $5, that's half a lunch. And for her, probably a bit more of a difference. And so I think the little things like that, I like to think about the ripple effect that I create. I don't think I'll be here, after I'm dead, but I think the ripple effect I create will be. So that's part of what sustains me as well.
So is part of your belief, Matt, you don't believe there is a God?
No, I don't. No, not well. Here's the thing. I think when we talk about beliefs, it's important to say, I say currently, because beliefs can change. It happens all the time. Some people, one day they believe in God, one day they don't. And then when someone gets found and converts, that's a belief changing right there. So there's nothing to say it can't go the other way, or a Christian become a Buddhist, or a Buddhist can become a Catholic. My mother was kind of a microcosm of all these belief systems. She was raised, her father was a Jehovah's Witness. She was a Presbyterian for a while. She became a Buddhist for a while, embraced New Age for a while. And the last few years of her life, she was a Catholic. So she was evidence that beliefs can change. So when I say I'm an atheist, I always say I'm currently an atheist. And that's not to soften it. It's actually true. And I kind of ask that of other people, their beliefs too, because it just makes it easier to talk to people.
All right. So if you don't believe that there is a God, then you believe that, I guess, you're a result of the Big Bang?
Well, here's the thing too. It's like yes and no. Like I said, I do kind of believe I'm born out of some sort of cosmic chaos, and I think that's an equally wonderful story. I was talking with a guy on the radio one time on a Christian radio show, and he said, how can you look at the ocean and say there's not a God? And I'm like, that doesn't happen. I don't go down to the ocean at sunset and go, there's no God. I look at the ocean, I'm blown away. I float in the ocean. I have a sense of wonder, and I almost, get kind of spaced out and have this kind of removed sense of myself where I see myself from above as this little speck kind of floating in the ocean. And I'm amazed, that this happened, that over the course of, what I believe anyways, over the course of billions of years, these cells became this, became that, and here we are. We're using Skype. You know what I mean? We're able to communicate, through the airwaves. It's wonderful. And so what I like to share with people who do have faith is that atheists have a sense of wonder as well. There's a sense about atheists or bitter people, and there's a lot of angry atheists out there. There's a lot of angry Christians too.
Yeah, right.
But I call the atheists that attack Christianity all the time, they're anti-theists more than they're atheists.
Yeah, yeah.
I never hear them talk about what's good about atheism. I only hear them talk about what's bad about religion. And I think it's more constructive to talk about the things that sustain you and make you happy rather than the things that make you upset.
So how do you handle the subject of eternity?
I thought about that a lot. People ask me, often. Jim and I do some speaking events from time to time, and they'd ask me, "What do you think happens after you die?" And I thought about it for a long time, and I realized, what happens after I die? The same thing that happened before I was born. And so when I see my life as a kind of a spot on a continuum that goes on infinitely in either direction. I'm not too worried. Why would I be worried about what happens after me and not what happened before me? People have this kind of dread about all the things they're going to miss when they die, and all the things they're going to leave behind, and they don't necessarily pine for all the things they missed before they were born. And to me, that it makes just as much sense, really.
Do you have a sense of purpose of life?
Absolutely. Yeah, my purpose is basically, like I said, it's to create a positive ripple effect. But I mean, my main purpose, I'm a dad. So that's when you become a parent, everything kind of changes.
Yeah, does it ever?
Yeah, but I don't want to basically, sound discriminatory against people that choose not to have kids. I don't think that's essential to have a purpose, but that's a huge thing for me. And if I didn't have kids, my sense of purpose again would be a positive ripple effect. I know I sound kind of hippy dippy on that, but I do think that the way we interact with people makes a difference. I think that our purpose, our shared purpose, we're social creatures, and so I think our purpose is to leave the world a little bit better than when we found it, and that's my general purpose.
All right, let me take a break here, Matt, and I want to come back. Let me ask you a question. You can ponder it during the break, and that is, do you see people of faith? Well, first of all, have you been mistreated by them? Okay, well, hold on. Okay, hold on. We'll be right back with Matt Casper. He's the co-author of the book, Jim and Casper Go to Church, and the new one, Saving Casper. And he co-authored that with Pastor Jim Henderson. Matt is an atheist. Pastor Jim Henderson, obviously an evangelical pastor. And I'm really honored to talk to Matt today about his views. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Paulina, and I work at theDove TV. Did you know that when you support theDove TV, you have a profound impact, not only in our community, but around the world? It's your continued support that takes the inspiration and hope in the programs we produce and makes them available to the thousands of people who are watching these videos online every week. Help bring encouragement and hope to our valley and beyond by making a secure online donation today at our website, thedove.us.
Okay, we're back, and our special guest today is Matt Casper. He's a co-author of a book with Pastor Jim Henderson, Jim and Casper Go to Church, and another book entitled Saving Casper. Matt is an atheist, and Jim Henderson is an evangelical pastor. They co-authored this book. Fascinating read, and I am really honored to have Matt with us today. He's letting us talk to him about his belief system and where he is and what brings him to the table on this. Matt, as we were going into the break, I asked you, I realize it's a difficult question, but I'm trying to get a handle on we believers. Do we look to you atheists with any kind of sense of understanding or acceptance? And I asked you the question as we went into the break, have you been mistreated by people of faith?
Sometimes, I think with all answers, there's rarely a black and white answer, and we deal with these things in shades of gray. In Saving Casper, I talk a lot about the Christians that I met during the experience of writing Jim and Casper Go to Church, and a lot of the stuff that happened afterwards. And I don't know if are they mistreating me when they honestly express their belief that I'm going to burn in hell for all eternity? You tell me if that's mistreating me. To me, it's insulting, because since I don't believe in God, it's not God that's telling me I'm going to burn in hell. It's the person saying it. So Saving Casper is really about how to not mistreat people that you're close to that don't share your belief system. So I don't feel mistreated because I feel that I don't take things personally. I know someone expressing their beliefs and their concerns. Those are their feelings, and why would I be hurt by someone else's feelings, So I just try and accommodate and listen to people and ask where they're coming from and let them know that I don't, necessarily share all of their beliefs. We may share a lot of values, which is different, but I don't believe I'm going to burn in hell. And so, and they're concerned. And I tell them sometimes, I say, well, you have to understand that when you're talking to an atheist or a non-believer, you think you're throwing them, a life preserver, and they believe that they're standing on, on the beach. So, and with all their hearts, with as much conviction as you believe they're not. And so the thing is, it's like, I prefer to not have them think I'm wrong and I think they're wrong, or I just, we have a difference, and let's, it's more interesting to talk about it than kind of condemn each other and walk away. So, I think there are some people that have been mistreated and embrace, atheism or non-belief as kind of a retaliatory measure. But that's not me.
You know, it appears, Matt, and I'm not trying to put any words or thoughts in your mind, but it appears that the fact that you would cooperate to be involved in this discussion with an evangelical pastor, go to churches with him, and write a second book with him, it appears that you may have a curiosity that there is a God.
Oh, I think everybody has a curiosity that there's a God or what's beyond. Absolutely. I think anybody that doesn't have that curiosity, what a boring life they must lead. You know, I mean, where's the sense of wonder without a sense of curiosity? You know, and so I think that's part of what makes life magical. What makes being a human being such an extraordinary experience is our imaginations, you know, and our curiosities and our wonders. And I welcome these discussions too. And I'm not like I'm not the angry atheist, you know, and I think. And that's the perception that, you know, and yeah. I get that, you know, because you got Richard Dawkins, you got Sam Harris, you got, you know, the late Christopher Hitchens, and all their books basically have the word God in them, you know, like, but the God delusion, why God is not great, you know, and you don't see Christians putting out books calling, you know, the atheist delusion, all atheists are stupid, you know, and so I don't want to be a part of that discussion, you know, I don't want to be on CNN yelling at Kirk Cameron.
Okay. Do you see in the faith community a genuine loving relationship between God and those who love Him? Do you see what maybe Christians are getting at, that there's a relationship between God and in the evangelical, His Son Jesus, but that there's this loving relationship between a God and a man? Do you see that?
Well, I see. Here's what I see. I mean, I don't see that because I don't believe in God. So what I see when I see Christians walking the walk, they rarely talk about you know, you must convert, you know, repent, et cetera, et cetera. They're just out there doing something positive, you know, and they're doing something to make a difference in their community. And then the conversation can begin like, why are you cleaning up this public park? You know, why are you helping these people, et cetera? And then they could say, and this has happened a few times in my life, they'd say, well, I'm a Christian and I believe this is my duty as a Christian, you know, and that's a magic moment. I think that's an important thing because for me, and I would think for just kind of they're living the faith rather than just kind of talking about it, you know, and that's really, really important. If Christians are really interested in connecting with non-believers, don't start with the fact I'm a Christian and you're not. You know, that's immediately is divisive. So basically, you talk about your shared values. I think a non-believer like me, I want to make the world a better place too. So we can work together to do that. You know, in some sort of community project, whatever. There's all kinds of avenues. And then the discussion about faith. What motivates you to do this? You know, and then someone can say, well, I'm a Christian. I say, what motivates me is, you know, the positive ripple effect I talked about before. And I think that's kind of where that happens, and where even though I may not see the relationship between a loving God and a human being, I may understand that that's what inspires that person and have a lot more respect for their beliefs because I see them acting on them rather than just, you know, yelling about them.
Okay, so I'm sensing you here on a couple things. One is that you're open to what the faith community believes based upon how they live it out. In other words, you want to see a sermon than hear a sermon. You want to see the faith community ministering to the homeless and the helpless than you do being preached at that if you don't get saved, you're going to hell.
Absolutely, unequivocally. And what I like to see too is I'd like to see it done without the T-shirts. You know, the Community Church Homeless Rescue Project 2013. You know, Jesus didn't wear a T-shirt saying I just cured leprosy. You know, there's a humility to I think doing those graceful actions and living your faith that's required. So
well, because in this season of Christmas, I made the comment here on our show the other day of the faith community in our area that has gone above and beyond anything I've ever witnessed of reaching out to those who are in need during this Christmas season. And there's a variety of organizations doing that, but they seem to be really helping. And there's no government program out there that can even begin to touch what the faith community is doing in helping those that don't have enough. And it would seem to me that that in itself would be a demonstration of a loving God.
Yes, for those that believe in a loving God, absolutely. For me, it's a demonstration of perhaps what kind of a shared positive value system, how it can benefit others. I don't have a really good answer for that. That's basically, and I'm fine with not having a good answer for that too. I respect your take on it, and I say that's a wonderful thing.
Do you believe that? Well, I guess you don't, but could you be open to the fact that God could love you as much as you love your children? Well, again, you're asking me to basically, say what I would believe, what I think about something that I don't think exists. So, no, I basically what I was asking you, Matt, could you be open to the fact? I think there's something common on the table here. You're a dad.
Yep.
And there's nothing that describes a love of a parent to a child. We try to write about it in books and we try to talk about it on psychological shows, but until you experience it, it's almost indescribable. In the faith community, there is that relationship of a father and a child as much as there is with you and your two children. And I asked you, would you be open to that?
Yes, but I want to share something too. Is that I think that what I feel from my children is unconditional love. And what from what I've read, the things that Jesus said is God has unconditional love for people. And what's strange is that people, a lot of kind of, I want to say mainstream Christians, the people getting the headlines, the people coming out and defending the Duck Dynasty bigot, because that's all I see there is bigotry and hatred from that guy's mouth. But what happens there is they're presenting a God who has all kinds of conditions. Suddenly God's love is not unconditional. God's love is conditional on the fact that you are not gay, that you are this, that you are that you don't do this, that you don't do that, et cetera, et cetera. So the unconditional love I feel from my kids, if God's love is unconditional, how come so many people keep putting conditions on it? I don't understand that at all.
I would always say the flip side of that argument would be, don't you have conditions on your children?
I have conditions on their behavior, but my love for them is unconditional.
Well, that's basically what the faith community believes.
Yeah, I know there's a love the sinner, hate the sin, but we see how it acts out, how it kind of manifests.
No, I get that. Now, you have made the comment that you are closer to God than you've ever been before. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, what I said, and it's a subtle word that always gets left out of that quote. I said, I'm closer to knowing God.
Okay, I'll give you that. I'm sorry.
And no, that's okay. It's very common. It's what Tyndale, the publisher of Saving Casper, put out there. I'm like, you left out kind of an important word.
Yeah.
So because what I say is that basically because Christians have kept me close to them, I am still engaged in the conversation about God. And if Christians had done what I've seen happen many times, which is just like, you don't believe what I believe, I'm cutting you off. Then it's over, and that's not, I don't think anybody wants that, especially, here we are, it's holiday time, families are going to come together, not everybody's going to have the same belief system, and someone's going to get hurt. Yeah. And so I don't like to see that. And so I think about the approach that Jim and I take to our relationship as being a very constructive thing. And I'm trying to basically share that with other people, where you don't have to let a difference in belief systems become a deal breaker. And so I'm definitely closer to knowing God because I'm still engaged in the conversations about God. I'm an atheist. I'm talking to you right now.
I get it. I think there's just volumes for us to learn by your comments today. And I think I often remind our viewers and listeners, nobody's born full grown.
It's true.
It's a process, and it's a maturing process. And those who maybe have made it their way or the highway to you is trying to microwave you into the kingdom, I guess, and it just doesn't go that way.
Microwave me into the kingdom. That's a good one.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how else to explain it, but well, listen, this has been fascinating. I'd like to keep the conversation open. I've learned a lot from you today.
Well, thanks, Perry. I've really enjoyed being here. You've given me a lot to think about as well.
Well, I just want to say that God loves you, my friend, and so do I.
And I want to say Merry Christmas.
Hey, thank you. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
All right.
Let's talk again soon.
Absolutely. Anytime.
All right. See you later. We'll be right back.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Daniel and I work at theDove TV. You know, compared to Portland, Seattle, and LA, Medford might be considered a small market, but at theDove, we're excited about the opportunity to make a big impact right here in our community. And you help make that happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us now by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or by phoning 541-776-5368.
Well, welcome back. Our next guest, well, I tell you, I am so honored to have him back. I value his coveted time. It's been a long time since we've had David Horowitz on, but today, what an honor to have him back with us. He's a conservative author, political commentator, CEO of the Horowitz Freedom Center. And I want to talk to him about a collection that he's putting together, the book, or the Black Book of the American Left, which is actually a collection of his writings through the years, about the last 25 years. Those watching on theDove TV can see a picture of it right there, right now. And let me encourage you to check it out. That's a picture when he had more hair. Hi, David. How are you, my friend? Good to see you again.
I'm fine. Yes, this is actually more than just a collection. This is going to be 10 volumes when it's finished.
Right.
This first volume is called My Life and Times, and it's really a portrait of the left. A lot of conservatives have been in a state of shock since Obama began to reveal who he is. And that's because conservatives were, busy with other things during the last 20 or 30 years, while the left was steadily making its way into control of the Democratic Party and turning it into a socialist party of the left. And this book is really a record of my battles with this since I came out of this left. As you know, my parents were communists. I spent a lot of years in the new left. And when I left it, I came under attack from them. So I've been engaged for 20 years in a battle with the Obama left, which is now in control of the country. So this is really, it's the fullest portrait you're ever going to get of the political left that's taken a stranglehold on our country.
I commend you, David, for doing it, because your life experience, as you just summarized quickly there, this is going to be a real resource for viewers and listeners to get a hold of it. And let me encourage you to get the first one and then keep your eye open for the series, because you have come through this, you have lived, you've seen it all. I mean, you've seen in the last 25, 30 years the morphing of this to where we are today. And now we're in a situation where it just seems like there is no regard to the Constitution. There's no regard to anything, that this president is just bent, especially now that he's been reelected, to socialize America.
Absolutely. If you look at Obamacare, I mean, why has he lied about everything? It's not going to be more affordable. You can't keep your doctor. You can't keep your plan. It's not going to cover the uninsured. Why all those lies? Because they couldn't say what the real agenda is, which is to control every American citizen. If you control your access to health care, I mean, they can deny you, a lung transplant if they decide that you don't meet their criteria, or cancer treatment or whatever. Then they control you. What Obamacare is about, and it's just a shame that Republicans still haven't got the language that they need to fight it, is about the destruction of individual freedom. We're going to tell you that you can have, one of 4 plans that we choose. We're going to tell young people that they need to have maternity leave and all kinds of things that only old folks need, and really expensive insurance that they don't need. So we can finance the whole plan and subsidize the constituencies that we want to support our power. This is the most frontal attack on American freedom in my lifetime. And I'm glad that it's come a cropper and that it's imploding. But I would like to see conservatives and Republicans fight it the way it needs to be fought, which is a threat against individual freedom, which in fact everything the Democrats do these days is. When you increase taxes, when you have a deficit of trillions of dollars and increase it by trillions, what you're doing is forcing all taxpayers to work an extra day a week for the government instead of for themselves. Wow. That takes away their freedom. That's what it's all about. It's about the freedom of Americans versus the power of the state.
Let me, I want to come back to that, but let me just back up just a little bit. Could you share with our viewers and listeners your breaking from the left ranks and why and how that happened?
Yeah, there's a story in this volume of my life and times called Black Murder Incorporated, which tells what happened to me. I was editing the largest magazine of the New Left in the early 70s. And I was introduced to the leader of the Black Panther Party, who was a hero to leftists then. There's a Black Panther in Congress, unrepentant one today. But they were the heroes of the whole left. And I raised a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars, to buy a Baptist church. It was a white church that had been overtaken by the inner city in Oakland, and turned it into the Panthers already had a school, but they didn't have a facility. But I turned it over to the Panthers to use as a school. And I hired my bookkeeper at Ramparts, this magazine I edited, to do the books for the school, because I foolishly thought the IRS would shut them down if they didn't keep their books. The IRS only goes after conservative organizations, certainly not Black progressive ones. In December 1974, December 17th, this woman that I had recruited, Betty Van Patter, who was 42 years old and the mother of 3 children, disappeared. And by the time the police fished her body out of San Francisco Bay 5 weeks later, I knew the Panthers had killed her. I knew that all my leftist friends were a danger to me, because if I said what I believed, they would denounce me as a racist and working for the CIA or something like that. And I had 4 children at the time, and they would all be in danger. This is what ended my sojourn in the left. And I've written about it in this piece called Black Murder Incorporated. And it also coincided with America's withdrawal. Her body was found in February 1975. In April, thanks to the Democrats in Congress who won a majority after Watergate, aid to the Vietnamese and the Cambodians was cut off, and the communists proceeded to slaughter 2.5 million peasants in Indochina with no protests from the political left. One of the things this book highlights is the way in which we live inside the language universe of the political left. We talk about anti-war movements. There's no anti-war movement in America. There was no anti-war movement against the Iraq War. If it had been an anti-war movement, there would have been demonstrations in front of the Iraq embassy demanding that Saddam Hussein obey the UN resolutions he was violating and open his country to the UN inspectors. There were no demonstrations at the Iraq embassy because the so-called anti-war movement was an anti-American movement. And until we start, it's only about America's military role in the world. And until we start speaking in that kind of language on the right, and conservatives, they call these people liberals. What's liberal about progressives, except their attitudes towards, sex, hard drugs, spending other people's money, criminals, and America's adversaries? That's what they're liberal about.
Wow.
Everything else, they're intolerant. They're bigots. Look what they're trying to do to Duck Dynasty.
Yeah.
They absolutely hate the First Amendment, except when it applies to them. They don't want people to have different opinions. They want to stamp out those opinions wherever they appear. They're my magazine, I have a website called frontpagemag.com, frontpagemagazine.com, or frontpagemag.com. And the motto of our paper, it's a daily paper, is inside every liberal is a totalitarian screaming to get out.
Wow.
The book I've written will illuminate that statement.
All right, let me take a quick break here, David. We'll be right back. David Horowitz with us today, and fascinating. You may want to check that out, frontpagemag.com as well, and his new book, The Black Book of the American Left, and which is My Life and Times, and a series that's now started from his years of incredible experience. We'll be right back with David Horowitz in just a moment.
Hi, I'm Paula, and I work at theDove TV. Every day we get letters and emails from people who've been encouraged, blessed, and challenged by the programs on theDove TV. But we couldn't do it without you. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to bring inspiration and hope to our community by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us, or call us at 541-776-5368.
Okay, we're back, and our very special guest today is David Horowitz. I'm sure you have picked up one of his books or read some of his articles, seen him around, and what an honor to have him with us today. Conservative author, political commentator, CEO of the Horowitz Freedom Center. And we're talking about the beginning of a series called The Black Book of the American Left. That's the first of the series. A picture of it there on the screen if you want to check it out at Amazon's or Barnes & Noble. And it's a collection of things through the years, and David has shared with us, it's the beginning of the series of his life and times. So I think you'll find it to be an incredible resource. David, I'm hearing a couple things here. I'm hearing the word liberalism, communism, and progressivism. What's the difference?
There really isn't much of a difference. The difference has to do with the political context in which they operate. America is still America. We still have the First Amendment. People still actually have a regard for the First Amendment. There are some liberals who've broken ranks on the Duck Dynasty, or some. It's what you can get away with, basically. So, if they call themselves liberal, my parents, who were card-carrying members of the Communist Party, called themselves progressives. They never referred to themselves as communists. The Communist Party controlled created actually the Progressive Party, which a Democrat, Henry Wallace, ran for president in 1948 on the Progressive Party ticket. Barack Obama, Valerie Jarrett, his chief behind-the-scenes advisor, most important person in the government, and David Axelrod, his political strategist, all grew up in the same communist left that I did, all graduated to the communist new left, or neo-communist, if you like, new left, and have never left it. They're still part of that left. That's the way they think. Barack Obama doesn't identify with America. What president who identified with America would leave 4 brave Americans to die in a firefight without even staying in touch with them, let alone sending them help? There is none. When the Russian astronaut burned up in space many years ago, the Soviet premier, he's the premier of a dictatorship, was on the phone with him to the end. But Barack Obama hung up the phone that Benghazi night, went to bed, and then went off to a fundraiser the next day. And after tasking the woman who is now our national security advisor, Susan Rice, to lie about the incident. This man is a traitor in his heart, Barack Obama, in addition to being a compulsive, brazen liar. Of course, people in the public life can't talk that way about Obama because he's black, and it'll end their careers if they do. But, some of us don't have that to lose. So
it appears that America's waking up. I mean, yeah, we did elect him twice. It's hard to us to understand why we elect somebody twice that wants to bring this country down. But the acceleration of his imperialistic actions now seems to be waking up America a little bit faster, and Obamacare continues to be a mess. Do you see a potential recovery here, or?
I do. I do with this election. I think there'll be a tsunami against the Democrats because Obamacare is in everybody's life, and as people. And it's going to be there. They can't make it go away. And so it will turn sensible people into Republicans, at least for an election. I'm concerned about the way we fight the battle. I'm concerned that we're not talking about this is a threat to freedom. The Democrats are a party that's a threat to freedom. Taxation is a threat to individual freedom. Why? Republicans talk like they're accountants. It's always budgets and pie charts and numbers and wonking, policy wonking. This is a moral struggle and a moral crusade. And the Democrats really know how to exploit that. I mean, for them, Republicans are enemies of women, children, minorities, and the poor. It's actually the Democrats who have their boot heels on the inner cities of America. They control them and have for 50 to 100 years, but Republicans never talk that way. Let me say just go back to your question about progressives, liberals, and communists. What unites them is the idea that you can change the world and that you can have what they call social justice. They all use the same phrase. When I was a child, we had on the bookshelf the cry for social justice on our communist bookshelf. This is a world where there's perfect equality and everybody's taken care of from cradle to grave, and there's no conflict, no war, no racism, no sexism. This fantasy is a fantasy of the kingdom of heaven on earth created by human beings. That's why it's so dangerous. That's why they want to control your life. Since people are unequal, I mean, people are just born with unequal talents. Some people are, more beautiful than others. And all of that translates into resources. Some people have more self-discipline and more energy than others. And that's going to result in unequal rewards. So what progressives are about is taking away the freedom of people who've earned through their talents, through their dedication, through their perseverance, more than people who are lazy and shiftless and criminal. Mm-hmm. And what progressives want to do to make everybody equal means to take away the freedom of the productive members of society.
Right.
And it ends in a police state. It's the only way it can end.
All right, you got. If Obamacare was able to stick, I see it falling apart. But if it was able to stick, obviously that is the great social act of the decade. But then the remaining stumbling block for a complete takeover by the left would be the faith community. They got to silence the faith community.
Oh well, they've been at that for years. That's what Duck Dynasty is. The Duck Dynasty controversy. I think that Rush may be right. It may be. Hopefully, it's a turning point. But I'm not holding my breath because there've been plenty of other points that should have been turning points. Mm-hmm. But of course, that's their war on religion. The faith community is a huge obstacle.
Yeah. Well, this is fascinating, David. Thank you for your... Pardon me?
Yeah. I hope people will take a look at this book. I mean, of course, if you have Kindle, you can read a sample. Because it's a large project. We need to roll out 10 volumes to get as complete a picture of the left as we'll ever... it's just circumstances. Nobody else is going to write a book like this. So I hope your readers will give a look at it.
I want to encourage people to get a copy of it. It's the beginning of the series, and it's called The Black Book of the American Left, and we've had a picture there on the screen by David Horowitz. And the other thing you can do is go to frontpagemag.com and follow his works there. Any last thoughts? We got about a minute and a half. I guess the question would...
to go back to your question, the hope lies in the grassroots. So I'm sure many of your listeners and viewers are just, regular people. That's where the strength of the fight against the progressive left lies. As a radical, I watched, and an ex-radical, I watched how the left pushed the Democratic Party over, to the far side. John Kennedy had the same politics as Ronald Reagan. That's how far they pushed this party to get an Obama. Conservatives need a grassroots, and the Tea Party is to me, the most encouraging, most important thing that's happened in America and for America. Again, in my lifetime. So I just want to see the Tea Parties empowered. I want to see stand-up conservatives in the Congress like Ted Cruz and Trey Gowdy supported. And that's going to take millions of ordinary Americans getting involved in politics.
David, this isn't a fair question. I only got 30 seconds. Why do you think Speaker John Boehner's been so weak?
He's a weak man to begin with, but look, he's a deal maker. That's the problem. And they're deal makers because they don't think things will change. And the only way they can change is from a tremendous push from the grassroots.
Wow.
That's what changes the game.
And hopefully that'll happen in 2014.
Yes,
Thank you, David. Blessings to you. Merry Christmas, my friend.
Thank you, and to you too.
Okay. We'll see you next time on Focus Today.
Hi, I'm Jim, and I work at theDove TV. Every weekday between 6 and 8 a.m., our award-winning news and sports team bring you the best morning show around. It's live, it's honest, and it's a whole lot of fun. And you help make it happen. Did you know that more than 90% of our income comes from people like you? You can help us continue to air local programs that share your voice by making a secure online donation at our website, thedove.us.